hotties, welcome back to Tea and Glitter, the podcast. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm Evelina, better known as Ivy of the Les Vixens. I'm a lesbian burlesque performer, and I've spent my entire career learning how to own my body, my identity, my sexuality, my sensuality, and to empower others to do the same. On this podcast, I spill the tea and give you all that gay girl glitter on how to live a more peaceful and pretty life. Thanks for being here. Let's get into episode 7. 7. I love that. 7. It's a good number. It's a lucky number. Lucky number 7. Welcome to episode lucky number 7. How are you, my sweet friends? Hello. How's your week going? How's your day going? How are you? Tell me all about it. I missed you guys last week. Sorry, I wasn't here, but it was an insanely busy week the week prior, so I just didn't have time to get an episode out, and I don't think you guys wanted me to stress myself out, so I didn't. But thanks for understanding that, and thanks for being here this week. I'm going to do my best to keep these every single week, but your girl is a busy showgirl, and the glitter grind is intense, and these episodes aren't exactly easy. I love all the work that goes into it, but I underestimated it. That's okay. It's fine. Everything is fine. Anyway, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an update on me in case you are curious, and then we'll get into this episode. And now, what do I want to tell you guys about? What happened? The last time we talked, I was about to do our Heroes and Villains show. We have big ass burlesque shows every other month, and it's a big to-do, and I produce the whole thing. And they ended up being very successful, and if you were there, thank you so much for getting tickets and supporting the arts, especially the queer arts. It means the entire world. I remained stressed the entire time. It's fine. Maybe one day I'll learn to not do that, but it wasn't last week. And then I did an amazing show last night with Mr. Miss Adrian and the cast of Chicago, except we couldn't do Chicago because we got a cease and desist, so we did something different. We did a dragsicle with some burlesque, and it was a great time. I had a really amazing time. It was an awesome show. And then tonight, I'm filming on a Saturday night. It's dark outside, but I know this lighting is incredible. If you guys are watching, I also put these up on my YouTube channel. But I'm about to get ready when I'm done with this and head to Girl the Party. I worked earlier at Medieval Times. I'm the queen there. I've been there for a million years. I started there as a princess when I was 16, a little baby dyke, and now I'm the queen there, and I ride a horse, and it's super fun. So if you ever want to see me there, let me know. But yeah, I was there tonight, and then when I'm done with this, I head to Girl the Party for Luna Noir's blackout emo night party for her birthday. I'm really excited about that. Gosh, what else about me? I don't really know what you guys would want to know. So many things in my life. My friends are like, that's really interesting, and I'm like, is it? Because it's just like a Tuesday for me. So I got to figure out the kinds of things you guys want to know about me personally. So let me know if there are things that you think I should include in my episodes or like my little updates. But anyway, I'm ready to get into the episode. Are you ready? Let's get into it. So today I want to talk about femme invisibility and my experience with it. We talked a few episodes ago about defining our queerness, and basically we just have a lot to figure out as we're developing how we want to present ourselves to the world. It's such a journey to get to a place that really feels comfy and to work through all the heteronormative and homophobic bullshit that messes with our identities and our self-acceptance. And style is something I hate to generalize here, but I do feel like style means more and is more significant to our identities than it is for straight people. Some straight people might be disagreeing with me, and that's okay. Style is important across the board for people to express their identities, but for queer people, for us, style just means more because of how it has affected our entire lives, honestly. You see, historically, the queer community has used appearance and a style as a means for... I don't know if you guys can hear that. It's Banksy just scratching the shit out of my couch. You get it, buddy. I love that. I don't understand the people who don't let their animals tear up their furniture. It's just a couch. Anyway, back to the episode. Historically, the queer community has used appearance and style as a means of identification and separation. It's like solidarity, survival, and substantiation. This is one of the reasons that so many early queer women presented as more masculine or butch. Not only was it a way to break away from the male gaze, ew, men, don't look at me, don't perceive me. Okay, thanks, bye. But it also served as a way to kind of embody the look of who was quote unquote allowed to be attracted to women, which was men. Does that make sense? I feel like it's just my personal theory is that early queer women dressed more masculine for a lot of reasons, but one of those was because to be attracted to women, men were the only things that were supposed to be or allowed to be attracted to women. So if you dressed more masculine or tried to kind of embody that a little bit more, it gave you more permission, quote unquote, to be attracted to women. And side note, I am working on a podcast episode about the male gaze and the female gaze and the differences and how it affects us all. And it's a bit of a to-do, that episode. As I'm getting into it, I'm a little overwhelmed with it, but I'm really excited about that episode. So keep an eye out for that one. I think it's going to be a really good one. And it's something that I've wanted to talk about for a hot minute. So it's one of the reasons I started the podcast, was to talk about things that I want to talk about. Not something I want to talk about. But anyway, back to this episode. The thing is, since the dawn of lesbians, there has been a quote-unquote look associated with queer women because as a subculture, we have had to adopt our own norms and figure out a way to signal to other people, women in particular, that we are into the ladies, you know what I'm saying? And in general, that manifested into that more masculine presenting style, which then kind of became the overarching look that defined lesbians, which is awesome, I think, in how it flipped the script about what a woman is supposed to look like, how she's supposed to dress. You don't have to dress in a feminine way to be a woman, and it's totally subversive, and anything that subverts the male gaze, I am a big fan of, but it also became somewhat exclusionary. And eventually, thanks to the patriarchy and other such nonsense, that type of style became a palatable and limiting stereotype that the heterosexual world and the queer community took and ran with. And then it became this like hard and fast rule that it was just accepted that lesbians are masculine, gay men are feminine, period, end of story, no variations. Like, we can kind of get on board with this whole gay thing now that we're able to put y'all into your little gay boxes and like identify you out the gate, and then we can go beat up men who look feminine, and we can call masculine women dykes. And we men don't want masculine women anyway, so thanks for weeding yourselves out. So even though leaning into a more masculine presenting style started out as something we did in our community as a way to signal to others that we're sapphic, and many gay and queer women do find comfort in their masculinity, many queer women are not inherently masculine. They don't feel comfortable in masculine styles, wearing masculine clothing, having masculine haircuts. A lot of them don't want to cut their hair short. They don't want to wear cargo shorts, even though I will say pockets on cargo shorts, chef's kiss. Can't beat them. So where does that leave women who aren't masculine? Well, let's talk about it. To assume that all queer women look a certain way erases so many of the lived realities of a huge portion of the queer community. And like, our histories and lives are already perpetually invalidated and straight washed over. Just look at all the women in history who never married, lived their whole lives with another woman, wrote passionate love letters to said woman, and when they died and were buried together, their epitaphs read, "Good friends and roommates." You know, it's so fucking infuriating how much of queer histories have been straight washed and erased. But this happens especially to queer femme women, which leads to a phenomenon called femme invisibility. Ding, ding, ding. It's the name of this episode. I would like some confetti to fall from the ceiling, even though I already said femme invisibility earlier. But now is the moment. Now is the moment for the confetti. I, myself, have always been femme. Always. Ever since I was a kid, I have loved being girly and being feminine. I just have to state here that femme and feminine are not one and the same. Femme is an identity where feminine is an attribute. And when we talk about femme invisibility, that doesn't apply to, let's say, feminine straight women or feminine men. Just because someone is feminine does not mean that they are femme. So that's just a note, because I'm a Virgo and I have to be clear, but like, a feminine woman who is straight does not experience femme invisibility because she's not a femme. Make sense? We're gonna move on back to me talking about me, which I love, and I hope you enjoy it as well. Anyway, after I realized that I was gay as fuck, I never felt the desire to change my outward appearance to mark myself as more quote-unquote gay appearing, right? Through all the evolutions of styles and trends, I have maintained my own personal love affair with all things floral, flowy, and feminine. And don't even get me started on the showgirl life. Woo! Red lips, high heels, piles and piles of glitter and sparkles, and as femme as possible. And the only time I wear a bra is when it is heavily encrusted with rhinestones and I'm about to take it off in front of a sold out house. You know, like, I have lived the feminine life not only personally but professionally. What I wear to work is very feminine, very sparkly, lots of sexiness, and very classically femme. However, sometimes I do experience some low-key anxiety about my personal style. Feels uncomfortable immediately. Especially seeing masked lesbians blow up on social media simply for giving gay. And after being out for as long as I have been, and for being femme the entire time and like really owning that, it's kind of odd for me to be feeling a sense of out of placeness within the queer community. You know what I'm saying? Especially based on my style, right? Because like I have owned my sexuality and my identity from the day I realized it. You know, I shared with you guys my coming out story, so you kind of know that it was an easy transition for me to accept the fact that I'm a lesbian, capital L, and a femme lesbian at that, which is a big part of my identity. But that low-key anxiety does happen sometimes, and I felt it especially during COVID when TikTok blew up and no femme lesbians were getting on the For You page. It was like all masked lesbians all the time, and I wasn't performing and all of these things, and I felt like I couldn't break through to get on any of the content that I wanted to put out there. It was going nowhere simply because I didn't quote unquote look gay, and masked lesbians were just like blowing up left and right for doing nothing other than just like looking gay. The reality is that lesbians and queer women who lean more toward a masculine style are just so much more visible right out the gate. And within the queer community, those who are more masked benefit from a lot more attention. Instagram and TikTok accounts of masked lesbians get way more likes and play than the femmes. They get hit on more by other gay women, and they're basically verified as being gay. It's like they have this little gay check mark above their head, like verified gay right here. You can tell right out the gate. And studs, masks, stems, tomboys, whatever, they of course have plenty of issues because they are queer people, right? And like queer people as a whole got a lot of shit going against us. But being seen as gay immediately is not one of them. And this got me thinking about femme invisibility and my experiences as an out queer femme presenting woman. How my own personal style almost works against my gayness. Even if I dressed masculinely, I think everything else about me still gives femme. Like a friend of mine once told me that I have resting nice face, and I feel like I have like resting femme face. You know, even when I'm not wearing makeup, I still am giving femme. And when I'm wearing like a masculine outfit, I look silly. Just like sometimes like masculine lesbians look stupid, uncomfortable in a dress. You know what I'm saying? I say they have gay face. They have gay face and I have femme face, you know? If anyone's offended by that, go take a walk. There's enough to be offended about. But yeah, some girls have gay face. It is what it is, guys. Some girls have gay face and I have femme face, and it is a thing. But so today I kind of wanted to explore my feelings with you guys. I love sharing my feelings. Do I? I don't know. But I want to hear some of your thoughts as well and your experiences as queer women when it comes to style and like kind of how it has affected your place in the community, if it has at all. And like this is a little vulnerable talking about this because for me it's a complex issue that deals with my identity, with privilege, with erasure, along with my sense of self and confidence. But fuck it. That's why I'm doing this podcast, is so we can have these kind of discourses and talk about things. And like there's very little out there about femme invisibility in general, very few podcasts and stuff. So we're going to go ahead and talk about it today, even if it makes me uncomfortable. So let's start with what femme invisibility actually is. All queer experiences are different and multifaceted, but for the sake of this episode, I'm going to do some generalizing. So please forgive me, okay? Like this episode is not going to be absolutely comprehensive, and I will be taking liberties with generalizing. It's very hard to not generalize unless I was going to sound like I was writing like a thesis paper. So like I don't want to do that. Like, I just want to kind of talk. So femme invisibility can happen to lesbians, to non-binary femmes, to bisexual women, to trans women, etc. And this episode is in no way meant to tackle all of the issues like politically and socially that occur within the queer communities concerning our identities. So much of how we experience life is experienced on spectrums, including how we present. And there are a gazillion sub-identities that fall within the poles of butch to femme, right? With various ethnic and subcultural groups that have their own labels to describe these identities, right? So like lipstick lesbian, stud, stems, femmes, butch, mask, etc. But in general, so don't come for me, in general, femme invisibility refers to the phenomenon of feminine presenting queer women not being taken seriously as gay people because we do not look quote unquote gay enough, being invalidated and erased and assumed to be straight. Femme invisibility is a complex issue, but what it does is that it reinforces the disadvantages of the queer experience by forcing a straight narrative upon the queer gal in question. So let's talk about like how this manifests, like what it looks like, and like how it can affect us. To start with, it's the damaging assumption that we are straight and all the bullshit that comes with that. The immediate dismissal of us. Our queerness is questioned, denied, invalidated. But you don't look gay. Fuck off. We don't feel welcome in queer spaces because we're assumed to not be a part of the community, that we're interlopers here to dupe the other gays into thinking we're gay for some nefarious reason, right? That I don't know why we would want to be like tricking gays into thinking we're gay if we're not gay, or that we're just some straight girl out at the gay bar for funsies with her gay guy besties, and we're inserting ourselves into spaces that aren't ours because it's more fun to go dancing at a gay bar than it is to go dancing at a straight bar, which is like fair and it's true. It is way more fun at the gay bar. And of course that does happen, but many feminine women at the gay bar are actually queer femme women who belong there. When we do say we're gay and we confirm that, we're given the bombastic side eye, and we're always suspected of at any moment to have just been duping you, and we're actually going to dip and go date a dude simply because we want to wear a dress and heels instead of joggers and Converse. Like, what the fuck, man? Just because I have long hair doesn't mean I want to date a guy. And the confusion and conflation of gender expression with sexual orientation, by which I mean like people assume the way you look is supposed to dictate your sexual orientation. It's surprisingly rampant, like within the queer community, within the LGBTQ plus community. There is still that idea that how you look is like what you're supposed to be into in the bedroom. Like the idea that you have to look a certain way to be gay. And like I vented about that in our Defining Your Queerness episode. Like I know I ranted for a while about it, but I see it time and time again in my life, in my community, and it's fucking annoying. That shit pisses me off for a million reasons, but at the top of that list is that it reinforces the guys get ready for this because I'm going in today. But it reinforces the idea that to be allowed, quote unquote, to be a lesbian, we have to be masculine, butch, and therefore undesirable to straight men. The idea that a woman who looks like something a man would want must therefore only be for men. That femininity and masculinity are owned by heterosexuality and heteronormativity. Or that if a woman is dressing in a femme or feminine way, that she's just trying to get attention from men. That's a big one. That one pisses me off. It also contributes to rape culture and all these other things, but like, do we want to go down that rabbit hole? I don't know. Maybe not today. Maybe another day. But yeah, the way I'm dressed is not for men, even if they think it is. God, I hate it. Oh, I hate it so much. I'm mad. And that shit pisses me off, and I hate that our own community falls into the trap of reinforcing those narratives. Furthermore, we femmes are not seen as potentials in the queer dating pool because, again, our gayness is unverified based on our outward expression. We are not often approached by gay women, even those who are attracted specifically to femmes. But of course, I have to acknowledge the fact that there's also homophobia and internalized homophobia wrapped up in this too. Because gay women, we are so terrified of being perceived as predators. I dated a girl, she was masked, and she said that she just assumed that all women were gay unless confirmed otherwise. And while I love that, and like I wish that was how things were, like I know that's not realistic for most of us. Because for a lot of queer women, the idea of approaching another woman who is not clearly marked as gay is incredibly scary because we have been told our entire lives that gay people are predators, and we're not, but we are still afraid to be perceived as such. We also would never want to make another woman uncomfortable because men do this so often and approach women without caring one way or the other whether or not it's going to make them uncomfy or not. Or they're completely oblivious to the idea that a woman could be uncomfortable because men feel entitled to women, to their bodies, to their personal space. Thanks, patriarchy. But we as women ourselves understand this on a very deep level. So we would never want to feel like we've made another woman uncomfortable in that way, especially if that woman does turn out to be, in fact, straight. So I do understand why a lot of queer women shy away from approaching femme-presenting women out and about, but it still sucks. And while I enjoy being assertive because that's my personality, I know a lot of other femme queer women despair because they are too shy to approach women or to be assertive, and that they wish on every star that a woman would please, for the love of God, approach them. And even if a femme is already in a relationship, she only becomes visible in the community if A, her girlfriend is literally standing next to her, touching her, whatever, and B, said girlfriend is masculine. Because two femmes dating also gets side-eyed and invalidated and seen as frivolous or pandering to male fantasies. Because we've been taught that romantic couples consist of one half masculine, one half feminine. The end. That's how we've been taught couples exist, right? And even as gay people, many of us still do subscribe to those gender and relational roles. Unless you're from South Florida, because those Latinas do be femme for femmes, and it is terrifyingly hot. Anyway, I digress. Or do I? Maybe we should all take a moment and think about hot femme lesbians in Miami. Just feel the heat already, the spiciness, the scariness. Okay, back to the episode. I've always felt very secure with my place on the spectrum of sexuality. Sexuality can be fluid after all, but for me, my sexuality solidified like pretty quickly and very happily into like full-blown lesbianism, like very solidly into lesbianism. I've only had sex with women, I've only been in relationships with women, and I've literally spent my entire adult life as the host and leader of Orlando Lesbian Nightlife. And yet, I still have people in my own community maintain that I am straight, just because I present as femme. Regardless of the fact that I am literally wall twerking at a gay bar, I have people to this day who think I'm gay for pay, which is honestly heart-wrenching, because like I have dedicated my entire life to the queer community, and to still feel like I'm somehow less because I don't want to wear a hat. Literally putting a backwards dad hat on me feels like a costume to me. Side note, I don't know how you guys commit so heavily to hats. You literally put one on and it's glued to your head all day and all night. I salute you, but it couldn't be me. The headwear for masked lesbians is really remarkable. If only they were all as loyal to their women as they were to their hats. I'm kidding. Relax. But for real, I don't know how you guys do it. Like I have a headache and hat hair, and I feel afraid that someone's going to knock my hat off and they're going to see the forehead marks. I don't know how you guys do it. It's terrifying, but good for you. Masked lesbians, you guys look great in hats. But even when I've earned my lesbian cred, if you will, like when I'm at work running the Les Vixens, talking gay shit on the mic, when I'm out of context and not on a stage in a gay bar, I immediately become invisible to the world and to my community, both online and in person. So these are just some of the experiences and ways our own community invalidates the femme experience and perpetuates femme invisibility. Out in the straight world, we femmes face a whole other can of shitty-ass worms. It's complicated. Let's get into that now. So first, we do have to acknowledge the privilege that comes with being femme. We end up, quote-unquote, straight passing. And as it so often is with privilege, it is unearned and complex and works to oppress others in our own community. That's how privilege works, guys. Okay, I don't think it's going to come as a surprise to literally anyone who has listened to this podcast up to this point, but one of my minors was in women's studies. So we're going to go ahead and chat for a second about gender performativity. Gender performativity is a term introduced by queer theorist Judith Butler, and good goddamn, I would love to have the title of queer theorist. Maybe I do. Maybe that's what this podcast is. Maybe I am a queer theorist. What do you guys think? Good old Judith. She said that gender is a social construct, a social construction, and gender is created and reinforced in the ways that people perform it in compliance with social norms. The way I perform my gender identity is linked to my status in society. So if I perform in the way that society expects me to perform, then I can more easily access benefits from said society. Does that make sense? So the fact that I wear dresses aligns with what society thinks how women should dress. Like women should wear dresses. And then when I do wear a dress and I align with society's expectations, I end up receiving privileges that others in my community do not get. I am as gay as the day is long, but I can go out into the world without the harassment my queer presenting family faces. That's not to say that I don't receive a shit ton of harassment exacerbated by my femininity, but the specific homophobic hate doesn't get thrown my way immediately upon seeing me the way it does for others in the community. I don't get questioned if I'm in the right bathroom. I don't get sidelong looks from old ladies in pearls. And I don't have to out myself if I don't feel safe to or if I don't want to, right? Like my my appearance doesn't automatically out me. And so then it's left up to me whether or not I choose to out myself, right? And that's privilege. That is a big privilege. And these privileges may seem like a solid trade-off with having my whole identity erased within my own community, but it for fucking sure is not. I'm not saying that we femmes have it harder or worse. What I'm saying is that we have it differently. And that being ignored, invalidated, having a straight narrative be forced upon us, having our lived experiences be erased is still homophobic and discriminatory and playing into a heteronormative narrative. Femme erasure is real. It's sexism, it's homophobia, it's patriarchy. I have to come out every single day of my life. It gets fucking old to constantly have to validate my own sexuality or try to defend it to others in my community. I've been told that I am a quote unquote waste because I'm too pretty to be gay, by which they mean my only value is in whether or not a man would want me. It's fucked up. Speaking of men, then there are my experiences with heterosexual men, which is on a whole other level. They of course see me as a potential conquest based on how I choose to present. And when they find out that I am gay, their responses range from patronizing to straight up dangerous. And of course I've had some dudes be really cool about learning that I'm gay and that they have no chance with me and like whatever. And like props to them, to any dudes out there who don't patronize women or don't say anything inappropriate after they find out someone's gay. To those who respect it, mad props to you. You're few and far between, I'll tell you that much. For me, I've had plenty of men get inappropriate, aggressive, angry. When a heterosexual man cannot wrap his brain around the fact that you're gay and not interested in him, it can get scary. And it has gotten scary for me. Or it gets vulgar and gross with these men claiming things that fill me with fucking rage. And I wasn't sure if I was going to bring this up, but fuck it, let's talk about it. I think porn also plays a role in femme invisibility and how we are perceived out in the world. Because the majority of quote unquote lesbian porn is actually straight girls performing as lesbians for the male gaze. And so this is another way that men and women have been taught that feminine women, regardless of whether or not they say they're gay, are still for men. Whew. I understand that our brains need to process things quickly, and visual cues help our brains categorize, process, and understand the world. The way we present outwardly helps the world around us process us, right? We talked a lot about that in the Defining Our Queerness episode. Regardless of that, we need to be honoring ourselves and be true to who we are. It comes down to being seen, because we all want to be seen as who we are truly. And to have my identity denied, erased, or questioned based on how I dress, it's just not for me. You can still make assumptions about a person, right? And the brain can still categorize based on someone's appearance, but negating their entire identity based on style and forcing a narrative on them that completely erases their entire lived experiences, I just think we can do better. I think we deserve better. I think we need to do better, especially within our own community. I really think it starts there. Style is something so personal, and it plays a huge role in our self-esteem and our identity. As I was working on formulating my thoughts for this particular episode, I was talking to a few friends who stopped by, one who was masked, two were femmes. And one of the femmes was wearing a flannel around her waist over her hoochie shorts and her crop top shirt, and with her long hair all flowy, looking like a mermaid. And she asked, "Does this flannel help make me look gay?" It was just such a perfect timing because I was literally working on this episode. But the fact is that femmes desperately want to be perceived as gay. We desperately want to be seen as who we are without having to sacrifice our authenticity, right? Like we want to be perceived as queer femme women. We don't want to look quote unquote like straight girls. We want to look like femmes. And we don't want to have to wear things that make us feel inauthentic. I don't want to have to wear a backwards hat all day. I hate that. It gives me a headache and ruins my hair, and I don't want to have to do that. I want to be able to wear my crop tops and my skirts that make me feel good, things that make me feel confident and sexy, and still I want to feel gay even while I'm wearing those things. I want to be acknowledged as valid within my own community. I don't want the comfort I feel in a dress to be at the expense of my identity as a queer woman. I don't want to be shoved back in the closet simply because of what I have in my closet. This doesn't mean that I don't occasionally play around with being a little more edgy or masculine with my style. And I actually really love including little gay Easter eggs in my style, like this little lesbian flag scrunchie or a sapphic pin, or even adding edgier elements to my femme style. So like a floral dress with Doc Martens. Style can be played with and it can evolve and change over time and even day to day. It just means that I don't want to, nor should I have to, change myself in the way I choose to present in order to be seen and acknowledged as a legit lesbian. I want to live authentically in all areas of my life, which is why I'm so out and proud in the first place. You know, it comes down to being honest and healthy in all areas of life, including clothing, including what you wear, and to not make yourself feel uncomfortable for the sake of someone else. And so like, here are some of the things that I do personally to combat femme invisibility in my own life. First and foremost, these little like style Easter eggs that I talked about earlier, like the lesbian flag scrunchie or a pin or like a Kiss More Girls shirt or like a Nobody Knows I'm a Lesbian shirt that like is cropped and cute, you know what I'm saying? So little like gay things like that, just a nod to being gay without having to dress masculine. Like there are ways to have these little Easter eggs like sprinkled about. Gay pins are great. I used to have like a ring that had a like a pink triangle on it that I would like flash a lot when I was talking, trying to get people to see. Look at my little gay jewelry. Simple things like that can still be very femme and dainty and pretty, but sapphic as fuck. Another thing I did is that I got to know and cultivated a circle of queer femmes. From my troupe, the Les Vixens, who are mostly all femme hotties, to my best friend who is super femme. I think she wears a dress every single day of her life and has long hair and all of these things. She looks like a little fairy angel baby. A lot of my other friends are also very, very femme and very, very gay. And so spending time with and surrounding myself with queer femmes of all kinds has helped me feel less alone in my identity and more grounded in my community. And it's helped me expand my view of the queer world and like what that can mean for me. Another thing that does help is that I'm very publicly out as much as I can be in person and online. And that helps to do some of the heavy lifting for me. You know, like I have a little, rainbow emoji in my Instagram bio, things like that, my TikTok bio. I just simply refuse to be invisible wherever I can actively and safely control it. I will talk about being gay because I think another thing is the more we are visible, the more we talk about things, the more we share, the more we aren't afraid, the more we'll be able to kind of change these narratives. That's something that I think is so huge. One of the reasons we have feminine visibility is because it's like silence is violence. You know, it's that same concept of the larger world, the heterosexual world, whatever, the patriarchy doesn't want us to be proud of being gay. So it wants us to be as quiet about it as possible, and I refuse to do that. You know, because at the end of the day, I personally don't feel like femme invisibility is necessarily about lashes and lipstick. It's about shame. We live in a society where compulsory heterosexuality is an unending, constant pressure. And like I talked about in our internalized homophobia episode, this shit can seep into our brains and do so much damage, just like racism and capitalism and all the other shitty, evil things in the world. So fighting back against the shame is a massive part of reclaiming the femme part of our community, the femme parts of us all. You know, looking straight is not a compliment. And it's not a reason to dismiss femme lesbians and the aggressions and microaggressions directed toward us. We don't look straight. We look like queer femmes. Queer femmes, that's an identity, that's a thing. It's so misguided to think that simply because we're not visually subversive like mask lesbians, that we're not out here fucking shit up and being a huge part of the gay revolution. Here's the tea, guys. I will wear a strap-on under my floral dress. My hair is long, but my nails are short. I'm gay as fuck, I'm femme as fuck, and I want to stay out of the closet. I will continue to reclaim femininity and give it a place within the queer community. Femininity is not just a part of a heteronormative narrative. It's not just for the male gaze. Like, let me say that again. Femininity is not just for the male gaze. It's not just for men to look at. We can own it separate from men. We can have a femme identity that has nothing to do with men and what they like to look at. I think it's really important that we don't erase femmes in the community, that we really see and celebrate femmes and that we acknowledge our existence. Because if we don't, then we confirm that the idea of femininity belongs only in the heterosexual community. And like, that's not it for me. I am not heterosexual. I don't know if y'all picked up on that or not. I am a lesbian. Femmes are the start and end of revolutions. The way we present and our sexual orientation do not have to match up for other people to feel comfortable or for our identities as queer to be confirmed. For those of you who feel more comfortable in jeans and Converse, cheers to you. You're hot as fuck. I love me some masked lesbians. You guys, yum, 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 yum. Love it so much. But to my femmes out there who feel conflicted, who feel like you need to look more gay, I say to hell with that, my sweet angel babies. Do not do yourself a disservice like that. We need our pretty, pretty, pretty princesses. Be honest with who you are. Live authentically with your sky-high heels and your lashes and your lipstick or your tinted chapstick or your aquaphor or whatever, anything in between. Keep proving that there is no right way to look or to be a queer woman and that only we get to decide our identities. And as a whole community, I think if we can give a big fuck you, a big middle finger to the people who are trying to like steal femininity and keep it locked away only for men, I think I would be a much happier person. I think a lot of femmes would be a lot happier, and I think we would all be more powerful. So what do you guys think? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like, how has style affected your place in our community? How do you identify? Are you a femme? Are you a masc? Like, what's up? Have you faced some struggles as a femme? I don't think it's just me, but like, I think some of you might experience this as well. So I'd love to hear about that. Does your style change? Has it evolved over time? Let's talk. I would love to hear from you. Leave comments on the YouTube channel videos. Find me on all my social medias. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. It's something I've wanted to talk about for a while, a little bit more in depth, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I love you guys more than glitter. Make sure you're following me on social media because I don't have sponsors. So I'm my own sponsor, baby. Maybe one day. I don't even know how that works. I'll get into it. I'll figure it out. I figure everything out. Let's see, what do we have coming up? We have a show at the gallery on August 18th. We have a show at Iron Oak Post also on August 18th in Melbourne. We have Girl Party every Saturday. We have a Star Wars show coming up on Sunday, August 20th. So mark your calendars for that. If you want to see a hot Ewok take off their clothes, that's me. Come see an Ewok do the thing. A Yoda pole dance. It's going to be a great time. Love you guys so much. Give this episode a positive review, thumbs up, comments, I don't know. Also, to those of you who have been messaging me about the podcast, I love you so much. Thank you. You guys are motivating me and inspiring me, and it's just confirming that I am on the right path, and I appreciate that. Okay, I have to go to Girl the Party. I've been recording this for a hot minute, and I've got showtime in 30 minutes, so I'm out. Ivy out. Sexy vixen femmes on. All right. Okay, love you. Bye.